Hey, y'all, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. So, I see various Facebook posts on mango groups, fruit forums, people asking the best way to plant mango seeds. And man, people really overcomplicate it sometimes. So, I just want to do a quick video. I've got a bunch of trees here. I'm constantly planting seeds, letting them grow up, grafting to them. So, I've got a little bit of practice. Sometimes I get 10, 20 at a time. I like to run through them. I don't want to spend half a day doing it. So, I'm going to go over the bench here. I'm going to show you guys how I like to do it. I feel it's a pretty simple way, not complicated. Then we'll get them in some pot. So the first thing that I do is I get this old dull butter knife and use it to scrape the flesh off the husk enough so I can see which end of this thing is flat. The reason I'm looking for the flat end of the husk is that's the end I want to cut open with my pruning shears, which you'll see here in a minute, so I can crack this thing open and get the seed out. Now, this step isn't even entirely necessary. I mean, the trees in the wild don't need us running around, breaking the husk open so they can sprout. But the main reason I do it is if I stick this whole thing in a pot, I've got all kinds of squirrels and raccoons and other critters around here. They'll come dig this thing right out of the pot. It's happened to me before. So this just cuts down on the risk of that. It probably does help the seed sprout a little bit faster too. It lets a little more moisture get on the seed itself and let it start germinating. All right, guys, I'm over here at the potting bench now. Got the seeds I took out of the husk. I've got my mix in here. This is just my local nursery's regular potting mix. I like to mix it about 50-50 with the sand. I'm here in Central Florida. I got more sugar sand around here and I know what to do with. I like to mix it up 50-50 because if you use just potting soil, by the time these seedlings get old enough to graft, I've noticed sometimes that potting soil starts breaking down and the trees don't like it. Start off fine in it, but after a couple months, they just start fading out. And since I started adding 50-50 mix of sand, they seem like they do a lot better. So I would recommend that. If you don't have local sand, you can get a coarse sand, like a builder sand. They sell that big box stores. You can mix that 50-50. Potting mix I've found really doesn't matter what brand. I usually just kind of get the cheaper stuff. So let's get to it. Got my 1 gallon pot. I usually like to fill it up all the way, pretty much to the top, because after you water it, you can see some falling out now. After you water it, some more drops down over time. That potting soil breaks down, it'll drop down a little, so I like to pretty much top it off right when I start. The first couple times you water it, it's kind of a pain in the butt. The water will, fill up and run off before it's soaked down, but that beats having to add more later, and you risk putting soil on the main branch of the seedling, which can sometimes cause some rot. So I like to top it all the way off. Really, I just stick the seed in here, enough to bury it, so the first couple waterings don't expose it, and that's all there is to it. I water it down. It's that simple. As far as watering these, you got to be careful. These little 1 gallon pots, it's February right now. It's not too bad, but as the heat of summer comes in, these 1 gallon pot, especially with this half sand, half potting soil mix, doesn't hold moisture quite as good as pure potting soil does. So you got to be really careful about these things drying out. You got to water them. In the heat of summer, I water them every day because, they dry out and wilt. I mean, you can lose a week or 2 or 3 of growth if you don't, if it doesn't kill them. Water-wise, one thing that helps me out is after I water it the first time, and I've done enough of them now, I know by feel kind of how much it should weigh when it's got water in it, because again, with the sand, it always looks dry. So I take to just lifting the pot up and feeling the weight of it. And generally, they all pretty much are the same as far as if one needs watering, almost all of them need watering. Overwatering can definitely hurt you. Not usually a problem in the summer. Like I said, I'm watering almost every day. But in these cooler months, you want to be careful and not overwater them. Mango trees don't like having wet feet the whole time. You'll get some root rot, and that can kill the tree. So one other thing I forgot to mention to you guys is I like to get masking tape and a permanent marker and put the date on the pot that I put the soil, the date on the pot that I put the soil the date on the pot that I put the seed in the soil. If you just got one or two, you'll probably remember when you did it, maybe. But if you got a bunch of them and you're planting them every couple days or couple weeks, it's just good to keep track of them. So typically you'll see them sprout up in 3 or 4 weeks if it's going to happen. Sometimes a little bit longer. I'll usually wait 6, 7, 8 weeks. I just got a bunch of them, so I'll look through at the date on all these, every so often, and I start seeing some old dates on there, nothing's happening. I'll pull the seed out of the soil, keep the pot, keep the soil, and I'll use it for the next seed. So this particular one says Kent on it. I like to put the name of the seed if I know it. That way down the road when I graft onto it, if something performs better or worse, I can kind of keep track of it for future if I know it. This particular one says Kent. It's from the supermarket. I don't really like buying mangoes from the supermarket. They're pretty awful, but when they're on sale, the price of them for the seed is almost worth it. When they're on sale for $1 a piece or something like that, I'll buy them, tolerate the fruit, and get the seed. Another thing about the grocery store mangoes is most of the time they're imported, and when they import them, they got to put them through a steam bath, kill the bugs, whatever else the agricultural department wants to get rid of before they hit our shelves. I think that steam bath sometimes kills the seed inside the fruit. You can't tell it by looking at it, but I've noticed with the grocery store imported mango seeds, I've only get a probably 50% germination rate. Maybe half of them end up sprouting and the other half don't. As far as local ones from the trees around here, it's much higher, usually faster to sprout too. So that's why I like to keep track of what it is and how long it's been in the pot. What it is. If it doesn't end up sprouting up after, 6, 7 weeks, I'll normally just pull the seed out of the soil. I'll keep the pot, keep the soil, put the next seed right in there, change the name, change the date, and put it back in the rotation. So hopefully this helps you guys out. If it did, you can subscribe to the channel. I got some more videos coming. We'll catch you next time.